Welcome to another edition of the Asia Gaming Brief Face-to-Face series. I'm sitting down today with Tim McNally, Chairman of NagaCorp, here to give an update on what the company's been up to over the last 6 months and their plans post-recovery. Hi Tim, and thanks for joining us today.
Felix, thanks very much for asking me, and hopefully I'll be able to fill in some blanks as to what's been going on the past 6 months. As you know, we've been shut down, a voluntary shutdown March 2nd, disruptive effect over the past few months.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, we're very keen to hear kind of what your management's been doing, what your staff have been doing in that time period. But I'm hoping we can start first with just an update on NagaWorld in Phnom Penh. It has been reported that NagaWorld is currently open and operating. So just want to get some clarification from you on that. You know, is it currently open and is it trading?
I will confirm that we've reopened.
Okay.
Let me share with you and give a little bit of perspective on the last few months. You know, I'm proud to say that Naga has played a very instrumental and contributing role while this pandemic is going on. Our Kind Heart program, whether it was donations, food banks, or our Naga farm, putting together packages for people in the Ang Sou province area. We donated surgical masks, hand sanitizer, temperature equipment. And then, you know, I'm not boasting just because he's the chief executive, but Dr. Chen personally has contributed more than $15 million to purchase and acquire vaccinations for the country.
What's the company been doing from a cost-cutting perspective?
Obviously, every time that you have to go through a crisis situation where you're closed for really an unknown period of time, it's turned out that obviously we were talking March through the middle of September here. We did very serious cost review. We obviously had to deal with staffing issues. You know, I think in 2020 we were at about 8,200. We've moved that down to around 7,000. That obviously nobody likes to have to, you know, either let people go or reduce the headcount that you might have. So we did it in, we thought, a very rational way. We had a program of separation where the majority of the 1,300 employees that were reduced in terms of our level separated from the company with some additional incentives to leave. Other people also have been granted compensation over and above government guidelines. So we went through that process. And, you know, now that we are reopened, as I mentioned, this will be a gradual segmentation. You know, before closure, we were quite successful dealing with the local mass market, premium players. I think it's going to take a while before we see tourism really kick back. You know, as part of this, call it larger recovery. I think the government is eyeing to see tourism open up November. That won't happen overnight. But I think if you look at, you know, where we've been in the past, you know, we were only talking about 2019 having more than 6 million visitors, more than 2 million from China. The projections that were in place at that time, 7.5 million for 2020, 12 million for 2025, 5.2 million coming from East Asia, China, and some of that area. We don't negate that. In other words, obviously, we can't control nor 100% predict what's going to happen over the next couple of years, but we're optimistic because of the very aggressive measures by the government in terms of vaccination that we're seeing, you know, better days ahead, combined with our own very strict measures in terms of sanitation, testing, vaccination for our employees, all those measures are very important and in place as we do reopen. Naga 3, as I mentioned, that has not gone off the drawing board. We've continued to advance forward. We have done a lot of piling work, ground development work. By the end of 2021, we'll be going out for bids at different construction groups for the development and construction of the main towers. Now, obviously, any moving forward, we'll be looking at the totality of the project, and we'll obviously make adjustments based on the market demands and where the world is situated, most particularly Cambodia and Southeast Asia. But, we have not wavered from that commitment, and we're still targeting, as I speak with you now, to a September of 2025, and subject to those qualifications that I mentioned. Vladivostok, I know that was an area that you mentioned as of interest, and that has had a little bit more serious disruption. You're talking about COVID impacting that local area, and particularly, as you might recall, we had a China construction company that was very significantly involved or taking the lead. Obviously, during this period of COVID, we've been unable to move people back and forth across the border. We recently, in the last 6 months, developed a new Russian construction company that's been moving forward. In terms of the actual status of where we are, I think we had talked about, the original target date was the summer of 2022, just coming up. Now that's been pushed back and delayed. I can't give you a final date, but
do you have an estimate date?
I won't give you a final date, but it's been pushed back, more likely at least a year or so. As of June of 2021, the hotel towers have been topped off, water and sewage connected. But yes, this site development started way back in 2016. But we're pushing forward, and as things improve there, combined with the fact that we have a local construction company, so things are progressing well, and we're actively building now.
Just on the topic of Naga Vladivostok, and given now you've maybe got an extra year to get things ready, I saw recent results of one of the other casinos in that zone has done really well with the domestic population. Getting a lot of domestic locals going in there to play, and doing quite well in that regard. Has your strategy, or will your strategy change in terms of who you want to focus to bring into your property by the time it opens?
Well, not unlike our strategy in Cambodia, we very much looked at the expat population and basically our backyard, Southeast Asia. We've always had long-standing relationships with Malaysians, and we have Thai and Vietnamese, Laotian visitors frequently, and we've moved that out. Then we went through a phase, obviously, of VIP further development, both Macau, as well as some of those Southeast Asian higher level junket players. And then obviously, as connected to the tourism initiative, we really began to see more and more Chinese visitation. And with the opening of Naga 2, that obviously attracted more and more Chinese. So flipping back to Vladivostok, certainly we will not ignore that local population by any means. They're not only the host country, but we know that there's a solid customer base. But we will, obviously, it's uniquely situated on the Russian side of the China Russian border. And, it's, as we've always said, a European city in Asia. Our own themes will attract much Chinese visitation. When we've met with Russian officials, we've talked about the promotion of tourism, bringing more Chinese tourism. So there'll be a two-tier, a very local look, but also we will try to drive China tourism. And that, no different than Naga. Certainly it'll have a gaming component, but we also want to offer more and more attractions. If you look at Naga 3 and what we've been putting on the drawing board, hotel, food and beverage, but also, we have some amusement parks and different things that'll attract the larger segment of the population, including families down the line.
Okay, just bringing it back to Cambodia a little bit. You touched on Angkor Wat. You also touched on Sihanoukville. Can you give us a bit of an update on where those two projects are currently sitting?
Let's start with, Siem Reap, Angkor Wat. It's been publicized, discussed that there was an original proposal, some concerns that have been taken into account. Simply stated, we're going back to the drawing board. We'll come up with some new ideas and new proposal. So at the end of the day, we'll have a proposal that's vetted well with both, principally, obviously, the government of Cambodia. They'd have to clear whatever we have. And then obviously we want to have the support of an international group that is involved in Angkor Wat. So There's no timetable there. All I can say, it's still very much alive, and we're going to be actively pursuing it. Sihanoukville, one of the many things in terms of, call it business development, country development, connectivity. We'll have new airports both in Phnom Penh, Siem Reap. We had seen the number of flights coming into Cambodia weekly go all the way up to 900, some flights, 450. Obviously, that went off the map. We'll be coming back. But within a couple of years, we'll have new airport facilities. Plus, there's new highways linking Sihanoukville, Phnom Penh, new highways linking Siem Reap and Phnom Penh. This is a progression of investment in terms of economic development and also to attract and enhance private sector as well as foreign direct investment from the likes of China and elsewhere. So we see those as favorable things. And at the end of the day, if you think about a project in Sihanoukville or something we haven't, there'll be synergy between all our properties. So that's the vision of Dr. Chen. Right now, we will monitor, Sihanoukville, quite frankly, in our view, developed a little bit too quickly. You're very much aware. I don't need to review the online gaming aspects that were determined to be not in line with adequate regulation and control. So the government of Cambodia shut that down. There'll be an emergence of both the Cambodia passed a gaming law. There'll be an oversight, supervisory body, and hopefully a more systematic and regulatory-minded development of Sihanoukville. But we view that as an opportunity, but we don't have anything concrete in terms of plans yet.
Right.
But we certainly view that as a future opportunity.
That was Timothy McNally, chairman of NagaCorp. Tune in to Asia Gaming Brief's face-to-face series every Friday as we speak to executives from Asia's leading gaming firms.